Welcome, dear friends. Welcome. A full-packed day for you today. The president is in California inspecting the forest fires there. We have news that we may be on the brink of a final withdrawal from Afghanistan set for next year. We have the two officers in LA County who are off the critical list, who were targets of an assassination on Saturday. We have breaking potential news on the drug prescription pricing front as well, and information on an Iranian plot to assassinate the South African ambassador, and so much, very much more here on America First. But we are honored to have in studio from Texas Congressional District number 1, one of the few people on Capitol Hill who gives a damn. His name is Congressman Louie Gohmert. Follow him right now. Rep. Louie Gohmert. Congressman, welcome in studio.
Hey, it's great to be here in studio with you. I always enjoy talking to you, but being here
this is much more fun.
Very nice.
This is fun. Yeah. Can I ask you a kind of really tactical question first?
Sure, you know anything.
Does the government, does a taxpayer pay for you to have a phone? Do you have a mobile phone on the government?
I do have one official.
Okay.
I don't use it as much. Yeah, in fact, unlike State Department or other folks, or like the Secretary of State, where you have to be careful not to use a personal phone. Since everything I do is not classified, I have to be very careful because I run for office, and it's better for me to mostly use a personal phone,
right,
because you absolutely it is illegal to use a government device for anything campaign oriented.
Right, so to make it easier, you use your private phone.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking, whether it's your congressional phone,
right,
or whether it's your private phone, have you ever wiped it accidentally?
I would love to have, but I've never, ever been able to wipe my phone, no.
So when you hear that the Mueller probe had 24 of their phones, not one, but 24 government phones,
right,
wiped accidentally at the same time. What is your response, Congressman Gohmert?
Well, to say it was accidentally done would be a lie. It took organization, planning, and intent, and I don't think it'd be a whole lot of problem in court to prove beyond a reasonable doubt if you got sworn witnesses and back up, because there's tech people that could come in and say, well, you couldn't have done this unless you were ready to, and then maybe you didn't do it when you meant to or whatever. But to wipe that many at the same time, even to wipe one, you have got to be en route to doing that. But anyway.
What have they got to hide then? You're a former prosecutor.
Well, yeah.
You've been fighting the good fight against the deep state. Why would a special counsel, a prosecutor, investigating so-called Russia collusion, why would they have to wipe 24 government phones?
For the same reason that Hillary Clinton did, that there was evidence that they had committed crimes, and since they were criminal prosecutors, and since people like Weissman had prosecuted people like he did, Arthur Anderson and whatnot, since they had all of this background, they knew what they looked for on other people's phones as evidence of a crime, and they didn't want anybody to find those kind of things on their own phones. Otherwise, there's no reason to do that. If you are a legal prosecutor doing authorized legal things, there is no reason to do that. In fact, it could come out to help you because, like, say there's a motion to quash, say this was an illegal search, that there wasn't probable cause for this or that, or that you didn't have that at the time, then the things on your phone could be used in evidence to show.
To protect you.
Yes, to protect you, to fight against a motion to quash an indictment, subpoena evidence. And so, obviously, if you know the things on your phone would cause you to lose against a defendant's motion to quash, whatever, you need those things wiped out because you would know they would defeat or they would help a defendant win and get the case thrown out of court, evidence thrown out of court. And so those are the reasons you would do that. A dirty conscience is why you would normally do that.
Now,
and let me be clear.
Yes.
They will be able to find prosecutors that have had dirty consciences before or investigators who have wiped their phones before, and they'll come out and say, oh, no, this is perfectly fine. But they've lied and done things improperly before themselves, or they wouldn't say that.
Now, as a former prosecutor, as a congressman, you've seen some really disturbing things in your life,
and also as a judge. I've had to review all these things. Do you throw out the indictment? Do you throw out the evidence? As a Chief Justice on appeal, I've looked at whether judges made the proper decision.
Is it a bad search and so on and so forth?
Yeah, exactly.
So as a judge, as a prosecutor, as a congressman, I have to ask you this question, Congressman. Have you ever been this concerned for the Republic as we are in 2020?
Never. We're on the brink of either losing it or keeping it at least for 4 more years. And you and I know, and we've talked about some of this privately and publicly, but in 2016, we talked about it being the most important election. And we didn't even know what we know now.
A fraction. We don't know any of it.
Yeah, if Hillary had won that election, we would never have known about the attempted coup. We would never have known how corrupted the Department of Justice, the FBI, top people at the intel apparatus, the Department of State, of course, the never-Trumpers there that were working to help, and even Department of Defense was helping as part of this attempted coup. And that's not all over either. You know, you see Mattis and some of these people, and I've told the president, look, any flag officer, general or admiral, that survived all of the Obama purges of our military, they do not need to be in command while you are president, because they are not your friend, and they will not be a friend of this country while they're there. When 2 of my 4 years, or actually a little more than that, when I was on active duty in the Army at Fort Benning, we were not happy with President Carter. You know, Reagan came in when I had a year and a half to go, but for those 2.5 years under Carter, you know, we had to constantly remind ourselves that to say anything negative about President Carter was an offense for which we could be prosecuted, either non-judicial punishment or actual court-martial. And we did remind ourselves when we would get so upset with something stupid he did that really hurt the military. You know, but we don't see that anymore. And to have military officers saying, you know, maybe we need to get, like Mattis, maybe we need to get rid of this president, means that man should have gone to prison, a military disciplinary barracks in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, for saying anything like that. The man should have gone.
A man who, as far as I'm concerned, is an individual who spent 2.5 years of my life at Quantico with the Marines, teaching the Marines, a man who besmirched the Marine Corps just weeks after leaving office as Secretary of Defense to say the things that he said against a serving commander-in-chief chosen by 63 million Americans. That's okay in Venezuela. That's okay in a junta.
And it's okay in America if you are not in the position that he had been.
Right, exactly. Bingo. That's why we love Congressman Louie Gohmert. Follow him right now. Rep Louie. It's spelt a little differently. Louie Gohmert. Gohmert. He's going to be with us in studio for one more segment. I'm Sebastian Gorka, former strategist to President Trump. We are live streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, available on Instagram TV, across hundreds of stations across the nation, millions of viewers. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, don't touch that dial.
No, the disgrace
Mr.
what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace, and it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility.
That's why we love Louie Gohmert talking to Peter Strzok, a video clip from a hearing in Congress.
And by the way,
yes.
that did not violate the rules. He had, and I was there for his deposition. He had talked about he never lies. He always tells the truth. Even in a jury trial where the rules of evidence are so strict, if you ever maintain that you don't lie, and lawyers warn clients not to say that, and he was a lawyer, then any time you have ever lied will normally be admissible because credibility is always an issue.
Patents. You're establishing patents.
And he's obviously he lied to his wife repeatedly.
Because he was having an affair as a married man with a married woman. That's Peter Strzok, FBI, senior official.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, we haven't rehearsed any of this because I don't think we need to. I consider you a friend.
Oh, I always enjoyed talking to you.
Why isn't he in prison?
He should be.
With who else?
There is, everybody else that was conspiring to first prevent Trump from being elected and using all their government resources to do that. And second, when they attempted a coup to remove a sitting duly elected president from office. And they were doing both of those. He ought to be in jail. Let me tell you something that also brings up the John Durham prosecution. You know, we've had prosecutors that have quit because they didn't want to be pressured to come to a conclusion. Let me tell you about anybody that quits because they don't want to have a conclusion before this date. Those are Trump haters, and they have been dragging their feet. There is no reason whatsoever that a good prosecutor who was unbiased would not have already brought these charges, gotten indictments, and be sending people to jail. That should have already happened. So any of these people that quit and saying, oh, we don't want to be pressured, they're the ones that have been dragging their feet. And so they're the ones that have made it political, and good riddance. Get rid of them. Get people that will pursue justice and not try to impede and obstruct justice like they apparently were.
Well, we only have 49 days left, and the list is very, very long, from McCabe and Strzok and Page at the FBI or at the FBI, Loretta Lynch. We have Comey, we have Brennan. As far as I'm concerned, talking to people like yourself and legal experts, Joe DeGenova, Sarah Carter, John Solomon, who've been investigating this for a long, long time, these people have all committed felonies.
Yes, they have.
With your experience looking into these issues for 4 years, all of these people should be up on felony charges. But where's the center of gravity, to use a military term? Is it Brennan?
Well, I don't know if I'd call him the center of gravity, but I cannot imagine
the
all of this going forward without someone like Brennan, masterminding, but you've got so many players that they were all of one accord. They didn't want Trump to be elected, and then they wanted to remove him from office, and they concocted all of this stuff. It's just incredible that somebody has not come forward and said, I brought this country to the brink of ruin, and I am so sorry. Let's get this straightened out.
Yeah, well, you'd have to have a conscience to do that.
That's true.
Talk to your constituents, if you will, in Texas. Talk to all Americans who are listening, because we broadcast from...
The number one question I get, why hasn't somebody been put in jail? I don't want just somebody. They all need to be in jail that participated in this crime, and that... Back in December when Kleinsmith, it came out that he changed the information
CIA
and
documents.
Created a lie to say, no, this person was not an asset for our CIA. I said back to people back then, oh my gosh, they're setting Kleinsmith up to be the scapegoat so that all the other criminals can go free.
You still believe that?
Yes. Well, no, I'm still concerned about it.
So what's your expectation for the next 49 days? Are we going to see something come out of Durham's office in the AG bar?
Well, I know I keep hearing that Durham is concerned that he does not want to have a political effect, and the response to that is every day he does not bring criminals to justice is having a terribly adverse effect on politics, on election. Every day he delays it may end up being what throws this country into a socialist republic. And that means, as Dostoevsky said, the big problem with socialism is not economic. The problem with socialism is atheism. And it's true, the government becomes, the God. And I'll never forget visiting the only seminary back in the 70s that was authorized. It was a Russian Orthodox seminary in Zagorsk, way outside Moscow. And as you go up, it's a gated little community where the seminary is. There's a building there, has the face of Lenin, and above it, Lenin, and below, Znami. Lenin is with us. You may be turning in here to think about God, but just remember, forget that. Lenin is the God. And the government does become the God. Even if, like Lenin and Stalin, they're guilty of killing tens of millions of people.
Yeah. We have 2 minutes left with Congressman Louie Gohmert. Follow him right now, gohmert.house.gov, Rep. Louie Gohmert. In addition to the coup attempt, the lack of any judicial response to that, how about the other threat we have in the next 49 days? Voting starts in just a matter of days here in terms of mail-in voting. 80 million mail-in ballots sent out without request. How serious a threat is that in terms of the validity of the results?
Well, it could destroy this election completely. Just in Houston alone, we had a Democrat judge rule that, yes, the clerk could send out 2.7 million ballots to people that didn't ask for them, that will make it so incredibly difficult to ever know whether they were valid or not. That would throw Texas, and the president can't win without Texas. I mean, that alone, that one thing, I think Ted Cruz won by like four.
A handful.
Yeah, it wasn't very many. And so, relatively speaking, that throws the election of Texas, and then Texas goes, Texas is going to vote for Trump legitimately. But as I've told the president, the only chance that you're losing Texas is how many people vote illegally, how much cheating is there in the counting.
In the last 30 seconds, what's your message to your constituents and all Americans in the last 54 days?
Don't not only pray for propriety in America, but also get out there, be a poll watcher, be a precinct worker. You get out there, get people to vote. It will make a difference. Like a preacher in Denton said, yeah, God's in control, but just because he's in control doesn't mean he wants us to lean on our shovel and pray for a hole.
In only the style that he can. Very clearly, you can make a difference. That's wherever you are, whatever the district is, don't give up. Be part of the solution. Volunteer.